Okay, so today we are diving straight into, well, one of the most high-stakes debates, really, ethically speaking.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those situations where things get very complicated very fast.
We're talking about that collision,
Well,
between massive paychecks for celebrities and, well, fundamental human rights.
precisely. And our focus is that controversy surrounding the American comedian Jessica Kirson.
Right, her performance at the Riyadh Comedy Festival in Saudi Arabia, it really sparked a firestorm.
Welcome to the deep dive. And our sources, they really frame this not just as some fleeting celebrity gossip, but as a critical case study
A case study in what exactly?
in what human rights groups often call artwashing or sometimes reputation laundering.
Okay, art washing.
Yeah, the basic idea is using the appeal, the sort of soft power of Western art and celebrities,
Mm.
to distract from or even normalize, hardline state repression. It's a strategy.
And so our mission here is to kind of unpack what this specific incident, Kirson's decision, tells us about the responsibilities of entertainers.
Especially Western entertainers, yeah.
Yeah.
Those who often talk about free speech.
Right. When they're suddenly faced with these huge financial offers from, let's face it, authoritarian states.
And the conflict couldn't be clearer here. You have Kirsten, who
Yeah.
is openly lesbian and Jewish,
Yes.
accepting a very large fee to perform in a country where her own identity is, well, criminalized.
It just feels like the ultimate high-stakes moral decision, doesn't it?
It really is. It's not just about the money. It's about the credibility that gets sold right along with the performance.
Absolutely. So let's start with the money then. Let's look at the setup, the strategic architecture of the festival itself.
Yeah, because this wasn't, just some private promoter putting on a show.
No.
Now, that's really crucial to grasp. This festival was directly plugged into Saudi Arabia's big national project, Vision 2030.
Ah, Vision 2030. We hear about that a lot.
Exactly. It's championed by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, MBS.
Yeah.
And the goal is, well, twofold. Diversify the economy away from oil dependency. And, maybe even more critically, fundamentally change Saudi Arabia's image on the world stage. Culture is now a state tool, a geopolitical tool.
So how direct was the connection? You mentioned the state. How close was the festival organizer, the GEA, to MBS?
Extremely close.
Yeah.
The festival was put together by the General Entertainment Authority, the GEA. That's a powerful government body.
Right.
And its chairman is Turki al-Sheikh. He's known to be a very close royal advisor to MBS himself.
Wow. So you've got the state's power, top down, embedded right into the cultural arm planning this event.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're deciding where the money flows, who gets the invitations. It's state-directed culture.
And to pull this off, they needed help from the West, didn't they?
They desperately needed it. That Western connection was indispensable. Our sources really emphasize the role of major U.S. players,
Like who?
particularly the huge talent agency William Morris Endeavor, WME,
Mm-hmm.
and consultants like Bruce Hill's Entertainment.
Okay.
These companies acted, and I'm quoting the analysis here, indispensable and profitable intermediaries.
Profitable intermediaries.
They're the bridge, essentially, connecting the state's capital, what critics call the blood money, with the artist's capital, their fame, their cultural cachet.
Which provides that sort of moral sheen, or tries to.
Precisely. And look at the list of comedians they managed to bring over.
Yeah.
It was frankly staggering.
Yeah, who was on that list again?
Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, Kevin Hart, Pete Davidson, A-listers.
Wow, that's serious star power.
Absolutely. And this wasn't accidental. It was a clear, calculated move, reputation laundering.
Using these famous faces to whitewash the kingdom's human rights record.
Especially after the international outrage over the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi in 2018. Saudi Arabia needed a PR win badly.
Right. That murder made them a pariah state for a while.
But here's the interesting paradox, the sort of self-defeating part of the strategy.
Okay.
The whole point was to project this image of openness, of global integration, right? Both at home and abroad.
Makes sense.
But the very act of importing these globally famous stars, it guarantees the event becomes international news.
Ah, I see where you're going.
And once it's international news, it's judged against universal human rights standards, the very standards they were trying to obscure.
So by seeking global validation, they invited global scrutiny.
Exactly. The strategy kind of sowed the seeds of its own PR failure right from the beginning. They wanted the spotlight, but maybe didn't anticipate the heat that came with it.
It's a fascinating dynamic. Need the Western stars to look modern, but those stars bring modern ethical judgment with them.
They confused visibility with acceptance, essentially, moral acceptance.
Okay, that really sets the stage, understanding the strategy behind it. But the ethical questions only really land when we understand the context they were performing in.
Right. We have to talk about the actual unvarnished legal reality for LGBTQ plus people living in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, let's be very clear about this. What are the facts on the ground?
Well, the reality isn't just, discriminatory. It's actively and lethally hostile.
Lethally hostile.
Yes, the justice system there is based on uncodified Sharia law. Since same-sex marriage is illegal, any sexual activity outside a heterosexual marriage is a crime.
Any.
Any. And the potential penalty, that's crucial.
Yeah.
The maximum penalty for same-sex sexual activity is explicitly death.
Death. Just, wow. So the stage where Kirson and others performed, it wasn't just lucrative, it was.
It was situated right on top of a legal system that mandates death for people like her. A legal powder keg, as you put it.
And it's not just about sexual acts, right? It targets identity, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The regime uses these vague laws against things like cross-dressing to prosecute transgender and gender nonconforming people.
So just expressing your identity can be a crime.
Yes, and the policing extends even to symbols. It seems almost absurd, but in 2022, there were coordinated raids on shops.
Oh, raids! For what?
To seize rainbow-colored toys and kids' clothing, the official reason. They were promoting homosexual colors.
It's systematic.
It's about erasing visibility, creating this constant, pervasive sense of danger for LGBTQ plus Saudis.
And are these laws actually enforced? Or are they just, on the books?
Oh, they're enforced. Our sources point to specific cases. There was a horrific incident in 2020, a Yemeni blogger sentenced.
For what?
For promoting homosexuality online. He was arrested, reportedly tortured. People get arrested for private social media posts. It's not theoretical at all.
That level of state terror, it just highlights how performer visibility doesn't automatically translate to safety for locals.
Not at all. And then you contrast that brutal reality with the carefully crafted image presented to the outside world.
How so?
Well, in 2023, the official Saudi Tourism Authority website was updated. It stated that LGBTQ plus visitors were welcome.
Visitors. Okay.
Our sources call this strategic ambiguity. It's a surface-level welcome mat rolled out specifically for tourists and international investors.
Whose money they need for Vision 2030.
Exactly. While the deadly legal structure for Saudi citizens remains unchanged. It's essentially selling a curated lie to secure foreign investment.
Which brings us right back to Jessica Kirson. Part 3. The case study where this all seemed to kind of collapse in public.
Right. Kirson, being openly lesbian and Jewish. Her presence alone was incredibly provocative in that specific context. A perfect storm, really.
So the backlash hit pretty much immediately, right?
Instantly.
Yeah.
And fiercely. So Kirson issued an official apology.
Okay. And what was the angle in the apology?
She tried to frame her decision as almost altruistic, like an act of brave cultural diplomacy.
How?
She claimed her motivation was to help LGBTQ plus people in Saudi Arabia. She said she'd requested a guarantee she could perform her gay material, wanting them to feel seen and valued.
Okay, the visibility argument, making people feel seen. But let's unpack that, because didn't that fall apart pretty quickly?
Almost immediately, yes.
Yeah.
Because there was clear evidence from before the festival that directly contradicted this post-event explanation.
What evidence?
Well, our sources point to a YouTube video, quotes from a podcast she did, readily available online.
And what did she say?
She explicitly stated she would not be performing her usual gay material in Riyadh. She acknowledged the censorship.
So she admitted she was self-censoring beforehand.
Yes. Her fellow comedian, Sam Morrill, even joked on the podcast about her having 3 strikes against her being gay, a woman, and Jewish. And Kirson confirmed, yes, she wouldn't be doing that material there.
Wow. So the apology's claim of performing gay material for visibility?
It directly contradicted her own prior statements. And that changed everything.
How so?
It shifted the narrative. Suddenly, it wasn't just potentially poor ethical judgment. It looked like active public deception, performing under censorship while later claiming bravery.
Trying to rewrite the story after the fact for damage control.
Exactly. And that just poured fuel on the fire. It amplified the public's cynicism.
And what about the other part of the standard apology playbook, the donation pledge?
Ah, yes. That also backfired quite spectacularly. She did promise to donate her performance fee.
Which is standard PR crisis management 101.
Right. But the problem was, she didn't name the specific human rights organization that would receive the money.
Just a vague promise to donate.
Exactly. And the reaction was immediate. skepticism. People demanded proof, transparency, accountability. Where's the money actually going? Name the group.
So the apology plus donation strategy just didn't work here.
It completely failed. And this signals, I think, a really critical shift in what audiences expect now. Meaning, the audience today is incredibly media savvy. They default to cynicism when they see these kinds of ethical lapses from corporations or celebrities.
They don't just take the apology at face value.
Not anymore. That vague promise, it wasn't enough. People wanted specifics. They wanted evidence. Like, show us the receipt. Who got the money? How much?
Without that kind of verifiable proof, the apology just rings hollow.
It's seen as cheap talk, performative damage control, not genuine remorse or action.
Okay, so that sets the stage for the wider conflict this whole thing exposed, right, within the comedy world itself.
Oh, absolutely. This festival ripped open a pretty deep ideological divide among comedians.
About what?
About blood money, fundamentally. About the role of the artist. Can you or should you take money from regimes like this?
And the comedians who actually went, who performed, they had different justifications, didn't they?
Radically different, yeah.
Yeah.
On one side, you had the defense camp.
Like Bill Burr, what was his take?
Burr argued for basically cultural exchange. He tried to make a clean separation between the Saudi people, who he said were cool, and the government, which he admitted was the problem.
So performing was about connecting with the audience, bypassing the regime.
That was his argument, connecting directly with the people.
Okay. And then there was Dave Chappelle. His approach seemed different.
Yeah, Chappelle's take was maybe the most complex and perhaps cynical.
How so?
He actually used the stage in Riyadh to joke to the Saudi audience that it was, quote, easier to talk here than it is in America.
Wow.
So he essentially flipped the script. He took the criticism he gets at home, his whole ongoing battle against so-called cancel culture,
Right.
and used it to paint the state-censored Saudi stage as some kind of haven for real free speech. It was quite a move.
Definitely provocative. And Pete Davidson, his reasoning seemed more direct.
Yeah, Davidson was pretty straightforward. It seemed purely transactional for him.
The money.
The money. Reports suggest headliners were getting anywhere from, say, $375,000 up to maybe $1.6 million.
That's a lot of money.
It is. And Davidson basically acknowledged that the price was high enough to outweigh any reservations he had, even considering his personal history with 9/11.
Okay. So that's the defense. What about the critics within comedy?
They were loud and they were fierce. This showed a huge split. David Cross, for instance.
What did he say?
He didn't mince words. He condemned his peers for taking blood money and essentially lending their credibility to what he called a totalitarian fiefdom.
Strong words.
He argued that all their complaints back home about being censored and canceled, they meant nothing after willingly accepting state censorship for cash.
And wasn't there actual proof of this censorship requirement?
Yes. This is maybe the most damning piece. Comedian Atsuko Okatsuka, she was invited but turned it down.
Okay.
And she posted screenshots online of the actual contract offer she received.
Then what did it say?
It contained explicit content restrictions, non-negotiable clauses.
Was restrictions like?
Performers were legally required to avoid any material that could degrade, defame, or bring into public disrepute the kingdom, the royal family, or Islam. Explicit censorship written into the contract.
Wow. So the proof is right there.
Undeniable, and it just exposed the hypocrisy that critics like Cross were pointing to.
These comedians who champion themselves as free speech absolutists back home.
Right, fighting against social pressure or boycotts.
Were perfectly fine signing contracts agreeing to state censorship abroad.
As long as the paycheck was big enough. It suggests the issue maybe wasn't censorship itself, but who's doing the censoring and how much they're paying.
So bringing this all together, what are the big takeaways here?
Well, first, the public reaction. It showed a clear demand for real, verifiable accountability. The old PR playbook of just saying sorry and promising a donation, it's dead, at least in cases like this. Transparency is key.
Right. People want receipts, literally. And what about the impact on the artists themselves?
I think the reputational risk for high-profile artists is definitely going up.
How is this different from other art washing scandals we've seen?
What really stood out here was the peer condemnation. The number of prominent comedians, Mark Maron, David Cross, others who publicly, aggressively called out their own colleagues.
That's different. Usually it's activists or the public, maybe not peers so directly.
Exactly. And that kind of criticism from within your own industry, that creates a whole new level of professional risk. It's not just about losing fans. It's about potential alienation, ethical shaming by your peers.
Makes the calculation much riskier. The potential career damage is higher.
Much higher, long term.
So in the end, this whole attempt by Saudi Arabia using comedy, something universal, to kind of launder their image,
It's just completely backfire. Spectacularly.
instead of distracting from human rights abuses.
It ended up shining a huge international spotlight right back onto them, the very thing they wanted to obscure.
Which leaves us, and you the listener, with a pretty stark final thought, doesn't it?
It does.
When does the paycheck, no matter how huge, become too toxic? When does that risk of permanent career damage, especially damage inflicted by your own peers, finally outweigh the millions on offer?
It's a question with no easy answer, but it's what artists are clearly being forced to confront more directly now.
And you, as the audience, the consumer of this culture, you're increasingly becoming the ultimate judge, the ultimate moral arbiter in these situations.